Welcome, everyone, to Enchanted, Inside the Life of Spiritual Leaders and Entrepreneurs, where we're learning what it's really like to do this work and how each of these leaders can help you move toward the life and work you were meant to do, how it's possible for all of us to live a truly enchanted life. I'm your host, Kathy Forrest, founder of Celestial Forest Institute, and I am so excited to bring this woman to you today. Cheryl Prince is with us today. Welcome, Cheryl.
Hello, lovely to be here.
So Cheryl is a creatrix of her own magical company, 5D Theater. She develops plays which are steeped in the supernatural and has followed her soul's path by working as a spiritual actress, writer, theater maker, and healer. Cheryl mentors spiritual creatives to write their own soul's stories and spiritual misfits to step into who they came here to be by remembering the story of their souls. She also works with people one-to-one to help them shift into 5D living. And I just love the topic that you've chosen, from business to blissness. So please share with our listeners more about your journey from 3D living to 5D. What's that look like, sound like? What is it?
Yeah, so I think most of us, if not all of us, know what the 3D living paradigm is, and it'll be that doing the job that you think you have to be, hustling to make ends meet, and whatever it is for you, and whether you're in it or you're trying to transition out of it, we can all do that. Trust me, because that's where I started. That sense of soul loss, and I honestly can tell you, I didn't know I had a soul. I knew somewhere deep down, but it was hidden. But I knew I was lost, and I felt trapped in this rat race. And I had that question, like, is this all there is? And from the outside, it wouldn't look like it was bad. I was a casting director. I had a great job. I was in this relationship, and it all looked very nice from the outside, but I was dead inside. And it literally took everything peeling away, a big dark night of the soul. And to get me to the point, I had a nervous breakdown. So everything did dissolve. And I had a big breakup, a loss of a loved one, all came at once. And I literally felt like I've got nothing. So the only way is up. And I speak into that because I wish for other people not to get to that low point, but I think many of us have to get to breaking point. But I hope that you don't. I hope that you take the gift of this journey and don't reach that breaking point, because you don't need to. But I did. I reached that rock bottom, and I was like, so if I'm at rock bottom and the only way is up, then nothing can go wrong from here, because I'm at the bottom. So I've got nothing to lose. And when you have nothing to lose and you look at the world and go, okay, so everything is bad. So what can I do to try and change things? And I had a little dream that I had since I was tiny. I used to perform on stage when I was young. And interestingly, I used to perform magic on stage when I was young. And I didn't know it like I know it now, but I once played the blue fairy, this little magical fairy, and I had this wings that my mum made me an outfit. And I remember looking out at the audience and going, do they see the magic in my hands? And being so enchanted by my own magic that it was just this delightful thing of like, I hope they can see it like I can, because I really was there. And so that dream had been suppressed. And that little girl, that little blue fairy that I once played, was like, not anymore. And so I spoke it out loud, which my dream was, I want to be an actress. And it was literally like, I never said it out loud to anybody. Well, a few people, and then kind of got, no, we don't do careers like that. And so I shifted my whole life to do that. And that wasn't easy. I did a lot of, it took me years to get out of, to train, to do that. So it wasn't an overnight thing. It never is. It still isn't. It's still in the past. But what happened when I made that transition was life got magical beyond my wildest dreams. absolutely bigger. And that's what I talk into when I mean 5D. I mean, spirit came in and spoke to me in the rehearsal room. Things started to drop in and land, like opportunities turned up out of nowhere. And it just got bigger and bigger. I started to tap into all my supernatural senses that had laid dormant since I was a kid. It just went bigger. I ended up training as a healer, and it took me on different paths. I ended up going, whoa, the reality I thought existed back then is nothing like what I know now.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think the most important thing to do, and I speak about this, is the hero's journey and the soul's journey as I mentor writers. And I'm now become a writer myself and a theatre maker, that, what I can honestly say is it takes that first step of the dream and then let the magic catch you.
Yeah. Wow. So you talk about a soul story. And so tell our listeners, number one, what that is, and why do you feel it's so important for people to know that so they can step on to their higher path? I think that initial step is the part that scares everyone.
Yeah. And it's so that is why that the soul's path is so important, because I spoke about my journey from soul loss, not really knowing whether I had a soul, but I knew I'd lost my soul. I knew that crystal clear.
Mm-hmm.
And that was because my soul was going, this isn't for you, this isn't for you. And it was breaking me down until I couldn't take it. And that is what our soul knows exactly what we're here to do. Our soul is willing us on the whole time. And it takes us listening. And our soul has got a path mapped out for us. But it's not, it's not, one, we're taught we don't have souls. So many of us are taught that. Two, we expect it to be like, well, we live in a logical, rational, scientific world. We don't, but that's what we're taught to believe. So we're expecting our soul to just lay us out a map. And that's not how it works. It's like, listen to these whisperings, these nudges, these little things. And how you listen to that is quite simple. You tune in and listen to your body. It'll go, yes, no, yes, no. You listen to the voice of spirit gently nudging you. But I think people are taught, and that's why I love that you call it enchanted. Enchantment is a softness, a gentle magic that's always around you and in you. But we're taught heavy-handed things, that they're not the softness and the listening in. And so the soul's journey is that. It's like that gentle, like, where should I go? And it's like channeling and listening to the voice within you that's always been there. And some people have it as a gut instinct. I have it very much, it's very frequency, because I'm an energy healer. So it's like, is this the right frequency for me? Oh, no, not that way, not that way. And that's how I communicate with my soul. And the soul will bring you on a much, much bigger journey than what you think, and you'll always try and control it. I'm sorry, but you will. I still try and do that myself, and it's like, no, it's bigger than you. It's it's brighter than this. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't look like, and it usually doesn't fit into the confines of society, because it's set out like, it's you don't need that conventional training. I speak to that a lot to people. You don't need that path that feels like it would look good on paper, but actually it tears you apart. You don't want that. And so the soul's journey is really, a lot of writers speak about the hero's journey. It's quite a big paradigm, but I've sort of shifted that into the soul's journey, and that is the trajectory that you go through. And that does include, let me be honest, although it's magical and wonderful, it does include stages like spiritual crisis and dark night of the souls, where everything drops away and you hit those rock bottoms and you question everything about life. You might question all your beliefs. You might question whether you're in the right relationship or friendship groups or jobs. And you might even question spirituality and teachers. I'm not taking this journey lightly, but it is the path that I know that your soul, if you're coming down to earth at this time of chaos, I've got a journey for you.
Absolutely. So then, well, let me ask a different question. Talk to us about, because you talk about how you were a spiritual actress and you have supernatural things that happen in your work. People want to know that and want to know about that.
Okay, well, let me try and condense it because it's a lot. So I didn't set out to be a spiritual actress, by the way. I set out to be an actress. I wanted to be normal. I mean, if actresses are normal, I know it's not the most normal career path. So I was like, great, I'm going to be an actor. And literally in the third audition process, and don't get me wrong, I was terrified of auditioning, terrified of my own voice, terrified of revealing myself. You know, it was terrifying for me. And so I was auditioning, I was doing an exercise where they asked me to paint my name on the wall, imaginary. Now, I didn't know that was light language at the time, but that is light language. And so I was moving my hands for ages, going, this exercise is ridiculous. The head was going off. And then all of a sudden, I found this sort of flow state where I was like, oh my gosh, my hands are moving themselves, and time stopped. And out of the corner of the room, my nan, who'd passed on, appeared in this beautiful effervescent light, and the world sort of spun on its axis, and she placed her hand on my back and said, don't be so afraid. And then the light disappeared. It was, I can't even tell you how beautiful this light was. And then I just sort of came around and went, what? And everyone else was around me still doing this exercise. And I was like, what has just happened? And the next day, the director in the room put his hand on my back and whispered, don't be so afraid. There's a woman around you, light a candle for her. And that was like, okay. And then what happened to me in rehearsal rooms is I start to hear the voices of spirit while people were singing. And I'd start to feel energy moving up. And it was like I'd opened a portal of who I really was, and everything was coming back. And so I trained as a healer, thinking, well, I don't really know what to do with all these gifts, so I'll be a healer and I'll be an actor. And I kept them separate until I got my first writing residency for my first play. And in my healing training, I trained to be an angelic Reiki healer. And I saw my past life when I was killed for being a witch in this. So I had this idea to write a play about being killed as a witch. But still, I was like, I'm a healer, and I'm an actor and a writer, and I'll keep those separate. God damn it, I'm going to keep myself separate. I am not going to be out of the closet to everybody. Right. And then I went to the rehearsal room, writing about a witch, having had these spiritual experiences, keeping this in a closet. And what happened to me, I ended up bringing shamanic drums and drumming with the actors because I didn't know what else to do but be me. And spirit, we have film where spirits are in the back of the room. There's someone waving a white flag in rehearsal. It's not actually there. There's rehearsal footage of me where little orbs are flying around my head. They just keep coming in. And then I gave it up and ended up channeling once in the rehearsal room. And I called in all the spirits of these witches that wanted to speak. And everyone just went, what just happened there? And I guess what really happened, and it keeps on happening, but now I go, hello, welcome in, come on, in you come, rather than being like, oh God, is it all gonna go? Is that, you know, this is who I naturally am. And I feel like a lot of us, so whatever dream career we weave into, do not keep your spiritual gifts outside, because they're gonna creep in. And they should creep in, because that is what I call from business to blissness. Yeah. The blissness is bringing your supernatural and your magic in, because then everything heightens and everything is magic because you are.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Wow. So I know I can feel the wheels turning in some of our listeners in that they think you're magic, but they may not think they are. And you believe that our soul stories are here to help us bring in the new earth. Can you connect those so that people understand what you mean when you say they're magic as well?
Yes. Oh, thank you. That gives me chills. I'm so glad you brought that round, because, you know, I want to speak about who I was like 7 years ago, because a lot of people are like, oh, of course you can do it. You know, they work with me and think that I'm this ascended healer that, you know, knows all these things. And I say to people, I know this because I channel souls. So I access the soul or the spirits around me. And I see the soul wisdom in everybody. I just have a language, so I know how to use it. But it's not just me. We've all got souls, and we all are taught. And don't get me wrong, me too. I was taught my whole life not to listen to soul and spirit and push these gifts away because I didn't know what to do with them. It made me a bit weird. Nor, it wasn't something I was comfortable with. We don't have shamans on our doorsteps or witches or wisdom keepers to go, oh, she's about to be initiated. Let's step in. We have to go out and search for them in this world. And I hope, and I'm glad you are reaching people to go, there's loads of us. It's all of us. It's innate in us. And so what it took, I got trained by a healer to go, oh, these are my gifts, not my curse. And I want to speak into that of magic, because a lot of us feel that, our gifts make us weird or different, or we're not comfortable with them. And if you then shift into a form like a healer where you're using them and you see it's gifted, you often don't become as public as you think you can, because you've got spiritual persecution in your soul's lineage.
Right.
Like, let me not bypass this. Us healers, cunning folk, mediums, we've had laws, we've had things put against us, we've had our magic stolen, we've been murdered for being us time and time again. So I'm not saying it's easy. There'll be loads of reasons why you don't want to connect with who you are on a soul level. But my goddess, is there justice in reclaiming who you really are? So whatever reason you have hidden from your soul or your magic, it's really time now, because we cannot get to this new ascended earth with us lot playing small. And by us lot, I mean that's anyone that's connected with soul or magic or the healing frequencies in any way. Now, I honestly believe that's the whole of human nature, but I know the whole of human nature aren't ready to hear that, but your collective are. So that's why I call us, because we're not divided. That's the whole of humanity. But I know only some of us are ready to hear that call of the soul and go, you're right, it's time.
So you've spoken into this, and everyone is now going, feeling convicted. It's like, oh gosh, that's me. That's me. So can everyone make their dreams a reality? And if so, how can they do that? Because they know, a lot of them listening right now know that the jig is up.
Yes, yeah. So let me be clear, because I'm a spiritual activist, about what that looks like. So my third play is called Dreams Beget Reality. And what it is, it's writing the utopia, the higher path, and the dystopia, the lower path. Who's in control now is the mind control, the soul control, which many people don't talk about, and the soul trauma people that have harmed us all down those lifetimes, creating the dystopian pathway. And how they're creating that is through technology, artificial technology with no soul. So it's simple. And they are using our minds, our beautiful souls, our spirits, when we're not claiming it, to create this fear state, drop consciousness that we've always been in. Now, as super masters, super souls, and supernatural queens and kings of the new age, we can take that power back and read our souls and touch into all the dimensions and use our magic to create this higher timeline, because we really are that powerful. And the only way I got powerful as a person is when I started to be in complete communion with my soul, because it had loads of abilities I wasn't using. So in this 3D paradigm, I struggle with loads of things in the school system. I struggle with things in my own business. I'm dyslexic. There's things that get me stuck and keep me playing small. And then when I realized I had this whole super paradigm of what I call the 12 chakras, which is, through our soul star, and I've shared this in my soul activation workshop that anyone can access. There's all these paradigms that absolutely all of us can channel, but we've been cut off from that energy. And from that energy, that's when you sync in with synchronicity, and the universe is going, oh, you've got that dream. Okay, fine. We'll sort it out for you on a magical level. But what most people don't do, and it took me 35 years to do it, so I encourage you to do it today if you're feeling the urge, is to speak that dream. And don't try and figure it all out. But that dream started when I said, I want to be an actress. And then it got bigger. And I said, oh, I want to write my own play. And then it got bigger. And I was like, I want people to be soul activated through my storytelling. Okay, I'll offer you that. This keeps happening to me. And then I was like, I want 5D theatre to bring in the new age. And, you know, okay, cool. We're with you. But that honestly took me every time speaking into that. The dream felt too big. And I keep surpassing the dream. But we have command magic. And that command oracle magic is speaking your dreams into reality. And if you don't speak them, they get lost in the ether. So I promise you, anyone can have their dreams, but dream into it, speak into it, and then take the next scary step, because it'll feel like you're falling. And it's like, my darling, you can fly, you can fly, you can fly. And it takes that, bravery to step into the unknown, because this is a new paradigm we're creating.
Absolutely.
New and old.
Yeah, I get it. And everybody listening gets that too.
Yeah.
So you're offering everyone a free gift, and the gift is the Soul Story Activism workshop, says. And I've already sampled. I can vouch for everything she says, that it will actually take you there. I know many people on here have probably done meditations with their 12 chakras and think, so did I, but it took me to a whole different dimension. So, and you give them within that the opportunity to state what their dream is. So I would say that's the first step. If people want to connect and begin this journey, clicking the free gift button is the first step. But I will also say that you offer some time with you. Talk to us about what you do in there, because I've also sampled this, y'all. This is good.
We had a deep dive, didn't we? So basically, my massive passion, I've got 3 massive passions in life, actually. Yes, and they're all linked. So I adore helping people find their soul story. So that's how a lot of people worked with me one-to-one. I will say, we know about the chakras, but because I'm an energy worker, it's all about the frequency. So people can talk about stuff, but we need to feel into that frequency. So I work with people energetically, because we often, no matter where we are on the path, we have blocks. And so I switch into energy work, soul story work, to access your soul's true knowing, because it's not from the outside. And we're very reliant on finding it. And, you know, I will speak into the community, finding it from spiritual teachers and other people. And I'm really, determined to shift away from that paradigm and activate your old ancient knowings. Access what's in your soul story. Sometimes that can be very traumatic. And so I work as a soul guide to support people in that. It was what I called a spiritual Me Too movement. I have seen the trauma that's in mine, and I'll always stand with you and understand that you can speak the unspeakable. Past PTSD I speak about in past lives. So I understand that, and I hold space for that. And I'm also a big shadow priestess. So if there's any entity or dark beings, they ain't coming near, I out those a lot. That's part of my path. And then I also work with spiritual creatives to find, speak, and mentor their soul story, whether it's for their own spiritual ascension or for spiritual writers, to bring up my community forward. And I am doing a new Channel Your Soul Story course in February. We've just finished one, because it was so powerful to create that community. Because as I shift and try and change the paradigm through storytelling, I really encourage everyone else to do the same. So I'm supporting writers to get their stories out as well. But when I say writers, because we're shifting into this 5D paradigm, that's also speakers, guides, spiritual leaders. It doesn't just look like, oh, I have to be writing a book. No, it means you're speaking your soul into being and awakening the collective through that. So that's kind of all the ways I work.
Beautiful. And I will share with everyone that she offers affordable, she's not out of reach of anyone. And so I encourage all of you to connect with Cheryl if this sings to you at all. Cheryl, do you have any advice if people, I think we've given everyone just about all of it, but if there's anything else that you would say to people that are just right on the edge?
Yeah. So let me speak into a little bit of the community that I've been building. And when you spoke of edge, I saw a few faces there, and I saw a few faces that were quite lost. And so what I want to say is that a lot of people lead and speak about spiritual stuff like it's very love and light and it's very easy. And I've found something quite different, and also found quite a shock in the spiritual community. Now, don't get me wrong, I adore spiritual community. I adore talking about souls and magic, and I'm so grateful for Enchanted and magical containers. I'm here with my heart singing, I love it. But there's also, because of that love, there's also a heartbreak in me that part of that spiritual community doesn't acknowledge the destruction that's been brought in by the same gods, goddesses, by the same teachings that have been distorted. There's a cult, dark magic that's been seeded in our society. And my belief is at the top of the control is by the occult, by magic. So that beautiful magic that I adore is also part of our human destruction. And so what I want to speak into, if anyone resonates with that, is that I went on my own journey from being a witch, reclaiming the word as a healer, to realizing that in the name of witchcraft, there was so much harm caused. And there I was shouting about witches, rising up and being a witch, and ignoring that there was this horrible, horrific side called Satanism. And so I'm now, as you know, leading a witch wheel where we out the side of satanic abuse and talk into the uncomfortable, as well as the sacred in witchcraft. And so what I want to say to people, it might not be, well, it's going to have to be through occult or magic. And I speak into it from ancient Egypt as well. I know a lot about the demonology down there. If you're feeling alone, that you have fears around your spiritual self, or there's teachings that feel off to you and you're not quite sure why, or you're feeling like you're not resonating with anything anymore, then I just want to give you support that I'm here and so many others are here to not ignore that side of what I call fallen magic, harmful magic, and that exists, and to not feel alone with that. And as we're rising up in this community and into this new earth, the lesson isn't to spiritually bypass anything. It's to witness everything that went wrong with a kind, loving heart, and have everyone speak their stories, even if they're hard to hear, and then learn how to do it differently, because we won't be hoodwinked again. So I just want to speak into anyone, and I did see faces that are lost at the moment. I hear you, I see you, but you're not alone, and there are communities building. And if you can be a bit braver and speak about what you know, you'll help this collective, so that we can all come together and speak our spiritual truth and never get humanity hoodwinked again, because my biggest mission is to not let us fall again. I remember the fall of Atlantis, and I'm not okay with that happening again.
Either. Wow. Cheryl, oh my goodness. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for listening, for hearing the call and being brave enough to step out there. And no matter what they tell you to do next, you just keep doing it. So we are all blessed for that. And I so thank you for being with us today and sharing little tidbits. I'm going to encourage everyone to click the links on her page right below this video and get the help you need, because if you need the help, it's here. So thank you, Cheryl.
Thank you for having me.